I will even use Alex Jones videos like 9/11 Road to Tyranny, but I have to add to people when I give it to them, this tells you nothing about how the Israelis are involved, and that's intentional. He asked the question, who stands to gain? And yet every time somebody would call into the show mentioning Israel, he'd have to downplay it. He would have to spike the story. There's a problem there, folks. There's a problem with attacking somebody like Mark Kornke, who is in prison for putting out good videos on the New World Order in 1990, 1991, years before these things happened. There's a problem with someone who's a money-grubbing patriot who went down to John Gray's house in Texas, took video of his home, and sold it to 2020 for $20,000. That story is still on the Internet. You are getting controlled stories even from the supposed alternative patriots. So, this is not infighting within the patriots. I'm trying to tell you, these guys are not what they seem to be. So, yeah, you're getting some truth. Use that truth that you can, but understand the game here.
Yeah, that's what I always say, chew the grass, spit out the hay. Everybody's got some good info, even David Icke, and you just chew the grass and spit out the hay.
Now, anybody that wants to know anything about me, I'm more than happy to talk to them both on the telephone or via email. I mean, I was born and raised here, a Hoosier in Indiana, born here in 1961. I'm living here in a southwestern county. My wife just got elected auditor. That's the closest ties I have to the any government that there is. We both do what we can to fight some of the globalist agenda, like planning and zoning on a local level and other tyranny. I've had FBI out here at my home, Secret Service here twice, because of comments on Clinton and Bush. They haven't thrown me in jail. These were comments like Clinton should have been impeached, tried, and executed for high treason for giving China military technology. The Bush incident involved forwarding a picture someone else had forwarded, which turned out to be a Bush neocon moron. Had a picture of a guy with a sniper rifle that said, when all else fails, vote from the rooftops. And since he was a Bush idiot, I just give the Secret Service his information, and since he's up in Canada, I doubt they could do anything about it anyway, but I didn't feel too guilty about passing that on to him. I showed them that I was not the originator of the photo. So there's no ties to the feds here. There's no ties to Ted Gunderson. I haven't heard from the guy. We have disinformers pushing a story that Bush is supposedly indicted. To the best of my knowledge, the only way that a sitting president can be convicted is through impeachment, and conviction in the Congress. I just don't see this story as truthful. I don't see Thomas Hennigan actually talking with the grand jury there. This guy is a bogus fraud. He's an associate with a known COINTELPRO liar, Stu Webb, who's an associate with a known CIA liar, Barbara Hartwell, who ally with others. I mean, we've seen this through the years, folks. I can document it. So the only thing I can think of them pushing this story is to try and stave off revolution in this country, people thinking that maybe justice is going to prevail and these guys will be taken down before they stage a nuclear 9/11 and get us involved in the Iran war and shove the draft down our throats, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I don't see this story as real. They know that we're at the boiling point, and I think they're trying to stave off revolution. The purpose of the Homeland Gestapo, which was formed in Clinton's term, was to keep the American people down as the economy collapsed. That's the whole purpose of the Homeland Gestapo. So, again, you really need to understand this, and I don't automatically suspect Jeff Rentz. I do have some problems with American Free Press, even though they do expose Israel. For example, Saddam Hussein, the one that they claim they caught out of a hidey hole, his teeth aren't even the same as the real Saddam Hussein's.
I've been talking about this clone they caught for a while. I have a lot of stuff on the Watcher files about it.
If you look at his teeth, folks, the real Saddam had lots of money. He spent it lavishly on himself, his furnishings, and some of the money he spent on his teeth. He had nice pearly whites, perfectly straight. Loved to grin and show them off quite a bit.
Yep.
The guy they drug out of the hidey hole had ratty, jagged, yellow teeth.
Yeah.
It was not the same guy, and ever since they got caught with that. They've been showing him at a distance and talking about doing a trial. and they might fix his teeth so it looks the same now. But
and also that picture, I even have it on my site where they doctored it because they pull him out of this hole, and there's dates on the trees, and they supposedly this was taken in December. And there was dates on the trees. They wouldn't have been on the trees.
They miss little things like that, and then we point them out on the internet, and then, they doctor pictures and send them back out as authentic. But we've caught them in this, and step by step, if you catch the little things, you can see where they're lying. There's a good movie out, directed by John Carpenter, done back in the 70s. It's called They Live. And it's very prophetic. It basically says that the society is controlled by extraterrestrials. They control society. They run everything. There's all kind of covert subliminal messages around, and they come up with these special glasses where you can see everything. Well, you train yourself to understand what you're looking at and to see through these deception. That's your special glasses. And once you do, it gets easier and easier to spot the frauds. And just like in the movie, there's a lot of people that will fight you tooth and nail rather than let you put those glasses on them to see what's going on. They would much rather, they're more comfortable believing in the lie than knowing what's really going on. But once they do, just like the black gentleman in the movie, once they do, they cannot pretend that it's not going on. They join the fight, even if it leads to their own death. Very telling movie, They Live, directed by John Carpenter. Check it out. Another one to check out, if you want to see what the globalists' basic wet dreams are for society, The Handmaid's Tale, Robert Duvall and others, where they start out showing people being unloaded from cattle cars. There's a general economic agricultural disaster, which I believe is being caused deliberately by the chemtrails, food shortages and stuff. There's a general vague war on terrorism, with everybody dressed in black.
I have a question for you, Larry, from a listener.
Huh?
I have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
This guy says he's interested in John Gray that you mentioned last week.
Right.
He says, I remember when Alex Jones was supposedly helping him, then he suddenly dropped the subject like a lead balloon after he had sold the video to 2020. Then we were told by Alex that Chuck Norris was taking over helping out John Gray. Then I never heard another thing about him. Does Larry know what may have come from that situation?
All I know is that John Statmiller helped cover up that story at Genesis. There is a URL. Let me see if I'm going to be able to bring this up. I will be able to here. There is a URL that you can look at to read the story online. And...
Yes, Larry?
Huh?
Larry?
Yes.
The last time I looked at the URL, I think you're calling up, it still doesn't tell us where it stands now, though. I think that's maybe, isn't that the emailer's question, Sherry?
Yeah, he wants to know.
I don't know what happened with John Gray.
Nobody seems to know what is going on now down there. It's all covered up quiet. Yeah,
and since Alex had a hand in getting that information to 2020, here's the guy who barricaded in his home. He was a good Christian. He was fighting with the local authorities there, and he was waiting them out. Alex pretended to be a good guy and went in and videotapes his home and then basically shows the whole thing to 2020.
All right, well, we got to wrap up this show, Larry.
HighTech1 at BlueMarble.net. I thank you very much for inviting me, Sherry. Anybody ask me anything you want.
All right, well, thanks for coming on.
You take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And next week, folks, we'll be back here 8 to 10 Eastern. I may have another Patriot on the show with me, Tim White. Just got that in the works now. We'll see what happens by next week. But hope you're blessed by the show. And you can catch this archived at SherryTalkRadio.com. We'll see you next week. God bless.